Hello, welcome back to the Mr. Arsenal podcast for another match reaction. This time we are reacting to the Chelsea 2, Arsenal 2. It's going to be a long one, I think. Another long podcast. So the listeners that will be listening to this back later, brace yourselves. That's all I've got to say on the matter. As you can see, I'm joined by Spencer. He'll be joining us on properly soon, hopefully on the audio and all that. I think he's just got a couple of things to do, but yeah, I just wanted to come in, introduce everyone, and just get into it. Really, as I say, it's a bit of a long one. Couple main topics we've got to touch on, Arsenal related, in terms of team related, and as always, and as I said at the weekend, I'm getting sick of having this conversation. The fucking PGMOL and their fucking apologies and shove them up their arsehole, for I care, basically. But we also got Ange in the chat who got a new face. I'm not going to try. I'll try and probably butcher the name. I do apologise if I do. But Shaq Sam P. Well, if I butchered the name, I do apologise. But yeah, as I said, Spencer, how you doing? How was your weekend? And yeah, it's gonna be, I think as I said before you came on, I think it's gonna be a long one. I think there's a lot to digest, team wise and officiating wise. Again.
Weekend was pretty good. I took the wife away Friday for a little getaway. Just me and her, and left the daughter with my parents, and then we met up with a bunch of the VB Gooner group at our local get together. When I do go, I go to Froggies and see the VB Gooner guys. Hung out, watched the game with them, and then came home and watched football and American football the rest of the weekend. But other than that, it was a pretty interesting weekend. I'm hoping you had a good weekend yourself.
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, at one point it wasn't looking good for the first 70-odd minutes, as we know, but
Yeah.
it was, considering I got friends, my next door neighbour is a Chelsea fan, so I know if they'd pulled that off, the second he saw me, he would have had great joy in rubbing that one in. So I'm sort of thankful there's other people I know that are Chelsea fans. I gave certain people a bit of stick beforehand. I'm thinking, like, come on, we're going to take you on. We're going to put you in your place for once. We're going to bring you back down a peg or two. And I'm literally sitting there and I'm dreading it and I'm fuming because the goalkeeper's being what he is, and the officiating was fucking awful as well. And it's just everything weren't going right. And I was like, no. And then after all that, also after the game, obviously I watched the Rugby World Cup, moments away from getting to the final, and the referee done us over there. And I'm like, oh, for God's sake. So it's been a mixed one, but not too bad. But yeah, Tom and Emerson are in the chat as well. Big up to yourselves. Let's get into it, really. I mean, what was you think going into the game? Once you saw the lineups on Saturday, obviously Raya obviously in goal. Ramsdale was omitted from the squad completely, obviously because his wife had given birth over that 24-hour period to their firstborn son. And then what was it? Zinchenko was playing at left back instead of Tomiyasu. And no Partey at all. Partey was on the bench, but yeah, it was a bit. Even looking at the team, you'd think we'd have enough, going by our experience that we have and all that, and yeah, just we thought you'd have enough. But I don't know. What did you think anyway?
So the big name for me was Jorginho, because I expected Partey to play. You know, he'd done a cameo against Man City. We had 2 weeks off for an international break. That was the big takeaway that I took. Everything else was kind of, I mean, the Raya Ramsdale thing, which I'm sure we'll get into. I was expecting Raya. I was expecting Zinchenko. I was expecting what we had in the front three. I was actually potentially expecting Nketiah up top for some reason. I figured that might have happened, but it didn't. I wasn't surprised Havertz didn't start. Such a confidence game going back home and everything. And Jorginho, I think it was more of kind of like ex-Chelsea, so he probably knows Chelsea a little bit better. Even though most of the players that he was there with have moved on, there was that familiarity, and he's calm. He's played in that stadium before, so maybe there was that calming presence. And maybe Partey's not ready to go a full 90 yet, and he held him in his back pocket, and that's what he was thinking. So I was okay with the lineup. I mean, you know,
it's still good enough. About what we both believe, basically, it was a good enough team to go out and do the job and get the 3 points, basically, before the kickoff.
Yeah, for sure. And it didn't turn out that way, but at the same time, we're at a point now when we look at our lineup, we don't have a lot of doubts in my mind, and
No.
it's
For me, there's one. For me, there's only one, but we'll get to that later.
And we will absolutely discuss it. It just feels like looking at the lineup, there's options on the bench too. So I had a calming presence. I thought we were going to take care of the game pretty easily. I think I predicted 2-0. Ended up not being that way, but that was what I thought it was going to be. So.
Yeah, I literally before I was on my live doing my watching and all that, I said just before kickoff, I thought it'd be a tough game. Don't get me wrong, but I thought we'd have enough to win 2-0, a tough calling 2-0 win. But yeah, as you say, didn't play out that way. Just I don't know. We came out a bit lackluster. Like I don't know. It's like I think I said this to Gary after the game. It felt like looking back at it, and in the moments after the game, it felt like certain players came out thinking they'd already won the game, sort of, because obviously Chelsea still aren't. They're still going for that transitional period. They're still having dodgy results this season, especially at home. And it sort of backfired because obviously they just, I think for me, the only ones that really turned up for the entire match, because were consistent for the entire match for me, was Declan and Martinelli. Saka again. This ain't a dig at Saka either. I think looking at it now, Saka should have not started for me. Matchday squad, yes, but clearly he still hadn't recovered from whatever knock he picked up before the international break.
Yeah.
And that's where you could have put maybe Kai Havertz up top, Jesus down the right, or Jesus down the right, Jesus down the middle, and Reece Nelson or Smith Rowe. You've got the options. It felt like, because it's a big game and all that, they wanted to make a point of, well, he's had the 2 weeks off, he'll be fine, sort of thing. It's sort of, as I say, it sort of it doesn't help when you've got someone like Cucurella targeting the kid and literally throwing him up in the air, left, right, and centre, and getting away with it. That doesn't help either. But his general play until we got back into the game late on in the game at 2-1. That's when he sort of came to life and come into his own then. But for the majority of the game, he didn't seem at the races, and maybe it could have benefited in hindsight. Just don't start him. Just put him on the bench and bring him on for the second half, maybe just as an impact. Just ease him back in. It's just, as I say, it just felt like a bit rushed and all that in the end. But Jorginho, as I say, I was just, especially going back to Partey as well. Considering he hadn't played the entire 90 minutes of both games for Ghana, and we yet again, like we've done before, sent out one of our medical team to go out with him to make sure he doesn't get overused and overplayed and overtrained and all that whilst on international duty. So clearly there's something there, because obviously, as I say, he wasn't playing many minutes against the USA, and I can't remember the first game. I think the first game he played like 65 minutes and he came off. USA didn't play. I don't think he played, or he didn't play the entire match. One of the two. So I thought you'd think, obviously, with that coming back, you'd get at least get 45 minutes, at least 45 to 50 minutes, and then just take it from there. But when he didn't, and obviously Jorginho started and all that, and you could, again, going back to the watch on with Gary, I was saying, at going into half time, one sub I would definitely make would take Jorginho. This isn't disrespect to Jorginho, but I would have took him off, put Partey on, because we needed someone like Partey in that midfield just to get our foot in the ball and do all the dirty work and let Declan do his thing going forward. But just get our foot in the ball and start dictating the tempo. We were massively lacking that midfield presence, and they're just running through us in that first half, straight through the middle, constantly.
It didn't feel cohesive, I think, and taking Jorginho off, I think would have been the right move. I was just on Gooner Gathering, and I was telling those guys, this is later on in the match when we got back up to 2-2. I think I would have taken Ben White off and thrown Partey on there, and then you would have Partey, Rice, Havertz, Smith Rowe, a back three of Tomiyasu, Saliba, and Gabriel, and go have a go for it, right? Like, but it was a little too late, and Pochettino gets credit for after they gave up the second goal of kind of like calming it down, because you could feel the momentum, right? And especially at the place I was at, like there was a belief that we were going to get back into it, not at 2-0, but my buddy Sean was there. I hadn't seen him since like I'd say about last year, roughly. He's been in Germany, but it was like, I said, once we get that first one, man, the second one's coming. And once Declan got that goal, like it opened things up and it made people play more relaxed. So I don't know exactly what happened with the mentality. I do agree with you. Saka probably shouldn't have started, but he didn't play for 2 weeks. And we also have a massive game tomorrow. So like, I think he got the sheet right, and then I also think he got the subs right. But I probably would have taken Jorginho off at halftime, and probably brought on Partey if that was at all possible. So.
Yeah, it did seem bizarre because obviously late on in the game, Gary's like, "We need to bring Partey on," but we started saying that. I was like, "We don't know what subs now. Our subs are down." Look, we did obviously Zinchenko. Zinchenko came off at halftime for Tomiyasu. I think that was a good call to do. In terms of Zinchenko was on the booking, Sterling was having a field day. Basically, we needed Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu, even though he's not a natural left back, as a defender as a whole, he slots in there. He can do a job. And I think once he came in that position, we didn't have any more issues on the left hand side from that side of the pitch on the attacking sense. I think going forward, for the next few games now, we need to go down that route until Timber's back later on down the season. I think in certain games in the big tomorrow night, start with Tomiyasu at left back, and then he was Zinchenko, and it's against, with all due respect, until we can get his form back properly, play me in the lesser games, if you will, with all due respect to the lesser teams. But yeah, I'm trying to think now, and then. We've had all that. We go back to the first half. Cole Palmer, about 5 minutes before the penalty is given, makes a challenge on Jesus. And I said this going back to the watch along. I said it to go at the time. I said it into the chat as well. What was the difference between that challenge and the challenge that Kovacic did 2 weeks ago in Odegaard?
There was no difference.
In Chelsea's in the game on Saturday, it was waved play on, continue, no card, no nothing, not even a VAR check.
He ended up getting a yellow on the situation, but I think I watched a highlight of it earlier, and I did the hindsight thing here, Ryan, where I was like, dude, I'm just gonna chill out. I'll watch highlights today. So like after Saturday, I hopped on with you guys and just during match of the day, and I watched some college football that night. But I was like, let me rewatch this when I'm less emotional, because I think I've benefited from being around other people at the bar, because the perception is we dropped 2 points, but there are a lot of guys who are like just relieved we got a point out of it, right? It was just it was a very interesting perspective to be around people with different mindsets and get to be able to talk it through, right? Kind of like we get the benefit here. But the Tomiyasu question, I want to bring this up to you, and I don't know how crazy you think I am when I say this, so I'll preface this. What if we just start thinking this, and maybe Arteta needs to think. I don't think he's going to do it, but Zinchenko, we need to start thinking about him as a midfielder, straight up an 8 or 6. And you brought Timber in, so you got Timber, you got Ben White, you got Tomiyasu, and you got Kivior. And in reality is, Timber can play the left back, White can play the right back, and then you got Kivior that can play left back, center back. You see what I mean? So like, is that potentially what was brought
cover
in?
There, basically, sort of thing, yeah.
Right. And unfortunately, because I hate to say this, I really do like Zinchenko. I just don't. It's kind of like what he brings defensively, and it's such a demanding position to play left back in the inversion, because of the amount of field you have to cover. And then if there's a counterattack, all of a sudden Zinchenko is required to get back into his position. But then the center back that plays right next to the left back has to cover almost 2 spaces, right? You see it in possession. The 2 center backs are up at the halfway line. It's I don't like the tactic, but I think it is something that we absolutely need to start thinking about with Tomiyasu in starting at left back. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in terms of Zinchenko as well, I mean, he plays midfield for Ukraine. He had done for the last over a year now.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be a new thing for him in terms of playing in midfield just solely as a midfielder. I think I don't know how old he is now, but he's never been blessed with pace. Let's be honest. But in a system that Arteta set up and playing this inverted left back, whatever they called it, with Zinchenko, it requires him to have a bit of pace about him to get back and track back and defend. And he doesn't have that pace against most wingers in this league, and I've noticed that in the last few games he's been caught out sometimes. And I think he'd be more. I think we discussed this in the summer and back into last season with myself and a few others that we like going forward. Maybe just start thinking about putting Zinchenko in that midfield and being the Granit replacement in terms of what Granit gave in terms of the physicality to his game that Zinchenko can also bring, and make them runs and do the dirty work in that midfield that allows Declan or whoever alongside it in the midfield to do what they do best as well. As I say, Tomiyasu, again, he's not a natural left back, and Kiwior's not they're not natural left back, but they play there. They've been playing there since God knows how long. And they both get on with it. They both. Every time I've seen it, apologies. They both look solid, so I wouldn't be against. I'm not against Kiwior or Tomiyasu starting, but I would start going for this moment in time because he's getting more minutes at the moment. Is Tomiyasu, because defensively he's got a bit of pace about him. He's a unit. He's a tall lad, but he's got some pace, so he can track back if he gets caught out. And he's got a bit of physicality to his game as well. And I wouldn't be totally against it. Kiwior, I mean, he's again who came to us as a centre back, and he's now sort of learning a new trade. And he hasn't set the foot out in that left back position. He looks comfortable there as well. So I think this is something Arteta needs to see and realise. I said this about something else we're going to get onto later regarding another position on the team. But it's all well and good us saying all this, but Arteta needs to see it himself and actually start enacting it. And I think Sheffield United is coming up on Saturday. I think that's a sort of game we can sort of test the waters of Zinchenko at midfield, Tomiyasu or Kiwior at left back, and go from there. Really, just try something new. I mean, because otherwise, it's going to get to a point where Zinchenko will get next to no minutes in most games because he hasn't got that pace. He can't track back quick enough and defend, and he gets caught out too easy, or gets skinned by bloody Trent Alexander-Arnold. And just it's not defensively. He can't do it for whatever reason. He just can't do it consistently. But from a midfield to an offence, he's got something about him so he can still offer us. So again, I wouldn't be totally against it. BX says I believe Kiwior needs more game time as well. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then we've got Sheffield United, coming up, and teams like that come in and around off between now and Christmas. So them sort of teams, that's when you sort of give them the minutes. Or West Ham next week in the Carabao Cups, put him in left back there, get his minutes up there, build him up, and then Lons, hopefully, assuming it all goes well tomorrow and a fortnight's time between Sevilla, home and away, we can experiment against Lons at the home game and things like that. But that's obviously we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But I'm not against. I wouldn't be against it at all. But this is something that Arteta's got to realise and fucking act quick, because otherwise we'll become too predictable and it'll cost us more points than. And I don't want that. So I do want us to win this title. Been waiting fucking 20 years nearly. Tom's not. Sorry, yeah, go on.
So I want to pivot back to what you said here on the left back position. Let's not forget, we have not had Timber healthy at the same time as Zinchenko's been healthy.
No, we have developed for 45 minutes. That's it.
Yeah, we don't really know where the utilization is going to be. So
yeah,
there's a lot of unknown with Arteta's long-term plan, and it could be Zinchenko in midfield. I think like you said, that Granit Xhaka role, like he could play midfield, and if you ask Zinchenko to play in a vertical line, I think he can do the job. But when you're asking him to cover more field playing a winger, like the pace that wingers have in this league, I mean, you're right. He'll end up getting skinned alive, like you said. But I just wanted to throw that out there. Is we don't really know what the whole lineup's going to look like. You know what Arteta's best starting 11 is, and Zinchenko might not even be in it. And that's a sad thing.
You've got a point there, because obviously, in the pre-season when we actually booked Timber in, Timber was playing pretty much every game. Zinchenko apparently was carrying an injury, even though he played a charity game for like 15 minutes as the season was starting. I mean, he started to stay, as I say, match day one. He did start. Obviously, went off injured, but he did start. And it does seem like Timber was a big part of this season's plans, but then fucking ACLs. I'm getting sick of saying the bloody word, but yeah. Hopefully, but again, hopefully that's not going to be too long. As I say, hopefully like January, February time, we might see a return with Timber. That's the rumours going about at the moment, but we'll play it by ear, because obviously ACLs are a bastard to recover from.
Yep.
But yeah, as I say, we don't know. We actually don't know if Zinchenko was going to be getting these minutes in the first place if it weren't for that injury.
We just don't know. But it's a good thing to not know too, because it's almost like a fresh signing, right? When Timber comes back, it's going to feel almost like this rejuvenation. We'll see. Hopefully he can come back in a time and not re-injure himself. That's the big thing, like, like you said, we want to win this title, and I think we're going to need him to win it.
Yeah, and Tom's asking, Ryan, how strong do you have the lineup against Sevilla? Well, thanks to such a goalkeeper, we have to go super strong tomorrow because we can't afford to lose. Yeah. And Sevilla have got a new manager as well, so we don't know if it'll be a new manager bounce, because they drew at the weekend 1-1 against Real Madrid. But thanks to a certain goalkeeper giving away and letting a team back into a game in the last match day, we have to win, really. We can't afford to lose, so we have to go full strength. But we'll get into that in a bit in terms of the actual lineup for tomorrow night. But so we're talking about obviously that, and then obviously the Cole Palmer thing, the difference between that and Kovacic and all that, and again, this refers back to the thing of what I say is that the officiating is so poor in this country. Yeah. They make a big deal about putting these rules in place, updating the rules or bringing new rules in every summer. They literally abide by them for like 2 match days, 2 weeks, and then they just pick and choose who they abide. They put the law to, basically. And it just feels like the consistency is so poor. It doesn't help when Harold Webb did his thing with Marco Anning in the international break and went, well, the referee, Michael Oliver, didn't want to disrupt the play and overreact with the Kovacic situation 5 minutes after he got his booking, and he sort of gone off the pitch. Didn't want to overreact, didn't want to influence the game. But if the rules are rules, if a player's done something stupid where it's a similar offence or worse, rules are the rules. He has to go. There's no if, buts, or maybe just because it's a big game or whatever. The player has to go. And then, as I say, with our forwards this Saturday, same challenge on Jesus, and it looks a lot worse actually. The Palmer challenge.
Yeah,
and it initially goes unpunished, and you're thinking, what on earth? If someone actually got to break their ankle with one of these challenges to something to seriously happen. And it just does my bloody loaf in. And then 5 minutes later, when 5 minutes after he shouldn't be on the pitch, Chelsea get a penalty. And people will say, the law that the PGMO have written up on all that is a handball. But I'm sitting there on Saturday, and I'm talking to Gary, and I'm saying, how do they want defenders to defend now? Like jump in the air? Do they want to stand up, stand arms to their side, and just jump in the air and hope for the best? But natural movement is the arms go up to help levitate a player. Just that giving that bit of an extra edge. And the fact of the matter is, the cross comes in and Mudryk heads it, and Saliba's arm's already up in the air. It's not like he's moved his arm as the ball's been headed. His arm's already up there. He can't move it away. There's not that much distance-wise between the ball being headed and his arm. What do they want him to do? And add into the equation the weather conditions as well. It's just sometimes common sense needs to come into these sort of things. I mean, and again, I'm saying common sense, but the officials in this country just don't seem to want to apply it. Well, they do when it suits them, but it's doing my head in. And I know you said obviously last time out about the they want the entertainment and all that, but there's entertainment. It's just borderline pissing everyone off. All these people that literally go into these games and or people at home paying subscription fees and all that to watch these games, and we're not getting value for money because it's affecting us. I mean, there's a rumor going about that Arsenal got another apology letter from Howard Webb of Human Error FC, and I'm just like, what's the point of these letters now? They are literally pointless. When Howard Webb came in, it seemed to be a new thing at once in a blue moon as well. It didn't seem to be. It just seems this season, it seems to be like 3 or 4 every week for multiple clubs, and it's bored, and then nothing. But they make these apologies and say we learn from these mistakes, but they're not learning because they're making the same mistake over and over again, or worse mistakes, as we saw a few weeks ago between Liverpool and Tottenham. And it's just like what's got to give for the officiating to actually improve and get better, because I can't see it getting any better. I mean, the fact that they sacked John Moss last March for forgetting to do his job, and that's because of the media pressure put on them in the first place. To then bring him back and say, now I know you forgot to do your job last time. We have to let you go, but we're going to bring you back, and now you're going to train all our officials to be the best of the best. How does that work? And then what's your thoughts on the penalty as well? The actual penalty itself. Do you think it was a penalty? Do you think it was harsh?
I think it's absolutely harsh. I mean, but like I said earlier on Gunner Gathering, like either call everything that touches a hand, in the box a penalty, or I'm gonna reference Terry from Football Terrace. He showed a bunch of examples where penalties that they haven't given, where it's directly hit the hand, against Bournemouth that we had, and if it's such a bang play because the cross comes in, it hits Mudryk hand. They're both trying to head the ball in theory, and it just comes down and hits Saliba in the hand. I thought it was ridiculous. But again, and I said this to my buddy Sean at the bar. I was like, dude, I said, if we got a penalty given to us by a team that happened to, I'd feel kind of weird about it because it just feels odd. What's the defender supposed to do if his arms are down? And we could talk about the unnaturalness of it. There's a little bit of that there. But if your arms are down by your side and you jump for a ball, it's kind of like taking a dive. You're going to fall flat on your face, right? So the arms have to be up to maintain the body balance. So I didn't think it was a penalty. But as far as the PGML coming out with apology letters, it's all about transparency at this point and trying to make appearances of what's the word I'm looking for? Appearances of we're doing something. Just don't do anything. Don't say anything. That's what I would do it, because at this point they look worse when they say things than as opposed to when they do anything. The optics are just looking. I mean, it's human error. Like, penalties are going to be missed, fouls are going to be missed, but I mean, like I said to you last week, it's sports entertainment, man. And
I mean, Jesus found that one out the hard way on Saturday as well, late on in the game, literally. Oh dear! But then obviously it was the penalty's given. Cole Palmer steps up, makes it 1-0. And then there's still no reaction from the team. Bit concerned, as I say. I suggested certain subs and all that. And then second half starts. A sub's made. It was Tom, as I said, we mentioned Tomiyasu for Zinchenko. Apart from that, there's nothing else. And then like 2 minutes later, bang, 2-0. Reyes caught out off his line. Mudryk off in the crowd, giving it the big one. Of all players to do that as well, it had to be him. And we're probably all sitting there thinking we're actually going to lose to this Chelsea team. This is a Chelsea, with all due respect, this is a Chelsea team that's going through a transition under a new ownership and new manager and literally a whole squad of players, left, right, and centre. And we're letting them walk through us like nothing, basically. I mean, the goal itself, I mentioned, I'll get onto it in a sec, but in the build-up. I mean, where was Ben White in that? Because where Mudryk was, the right back wasn't there. I'm watching the replay and fucking Ben White standing centrally and
Didn't he turn the ball over?
Watching and Sleeverton having to track the run.
I thought Ben White was the one that turned the ball over to Gallagher. Or who was it?
I think it was Ben White, but then he just stands in the as the play goes on, he just stands centrally, just like the opposite, the left hand side of Saliba,
and
leaves the Saliba completely exposed. Because then Saliba's got to say, oh, am I holding my position, or have I got to go out and block this cross? And it turned out to be a shot, but still. I mean, then just Raya. I mean, I don't know again. Anticipating a cross or not, why is he so far off his line in that? And no, again, he knows he's not a tall goalkeeper, so why is he so far off his line?
I watched it again, and I don't know if he was super far off his line. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, I've been chipped like that before playing, right? And I'm 5'10", so I'm probably Raya's height, probably. So you're gonna get up chipped, right? So when you're in this, and maybe this is where I'm wrong on this opinion, Brian, and possibly what needed to happen is, his positioning needs to be in accordance with your height, right?
Yeah.
Knowing exactly where you need to be. If you're 6'6", like Emi Martinez can stand out further than David Raya, right? So that's where that and that's where that comes from. But could he have done better on it? I think so. But that's probably the worst cross I've ever seen in my life, because it ended up in the back of the net. And you can look at Mudryk, and he doesn't even look to where he's shooting. He just crosses it.
It's a missed cross. It's a missed cross. Let's not get it twisted. But for me,
I'll give him credit for it. Congratulations. I mean, good for you. But my God, don't come out taking credit for that, dude. Like, I would respect it more if Mudryk's like, man, that meant to be a cross, but I'll take it. At least have some humor with it. People will respect you for it instead of coming out there and boldface. I mean, look, we know you didn't mean to do that.
We can physically see you didn't mean it.
It's okay. Yeah, like, just own it, brother.
Yeah, and just going back to Ray, I mean, people know my opinions on Ray in general and this whole situation that's been caused. And this isn't the first time he's been caught out or made a mistake, and even afterwards he made a few mistakes that could have led to goals, but he just about recovered in them moments. As I say, this ain't the first time. I've sat here on Saturday and I'm thinking, how many games is it? He's played this amount of games. He's only looked comfortable against Everton, PSV, and partially Bournemouth when they didn't put the pressure on in their game. We won, was it 3-0 in that one? But you look at the Everton game, the first one, no pressure whatsoever. So again, he's going to get a clean sheet and look comfortable for crosses because he weren't getting nothing put on him basically by the opposition. PSV, pretty similar. They came out with a plan. It backfired because the whole team came up and did a job, and he had nothing to do. So again, going to look okay. But the second he has a bit of pressure put onto him, it seems, he has a wobble. It started against Tottenham. Obviously, we drew that game 2-2 in the end. And Man City gets away with it just by pure luck more than anything. That nothing backfired us against Man City. Lens away again. We're 1-0 up, coasting the game, in control. He makes an error, puts Lens back into the game, and they go on to win. Because the fans get picked up, the players are then feeding off that, and they believe they can go and get something from this game. And then it's just got performance-wise, it's just gone downhill ever since for him in terms of he's constantly, as I say, the Man City game, and then yesterday he's just constantly making constant errors for even passing out from the back. I mean, Saturday, how he got away with it 2-0 to not make it 3-0. If he'd done that, I think that would have been there'd be no coming back. There's no way Mikel could have defended it publicly because that wouldn't have been the first time. It would have, and I've got to a point now where, and by the way, Rambo was back in training today as well with the teammates, and he's made a point of being in the camera and saying, "Look, I'm here. Don't worry, guys, I'm here." It's been caught. He's actually been caught on video, but saying that. The fact that he's been brought back literally like 48 hours or so after his wife's given birth to his son. If I'm me, I'll be shitting myself. But personally, I don't want to. I've said it since Saturday. I don't want to see Raya playing now until further notice. I think that, especially around the circumstances of how Ramsdale was dropped when he had done nothing wrong in terms of his form and his performances, he had done nothing wrong to justify being dropped. And now that Raya's form and his performances justifying being dropped, he has to be dropped until further notice. Ramsdale now deserves a chance to go, look, you had your chance. I'm going to have my chance now. Now you got to wait for me to step up. Personally, and I personally will start Ramsdale tomorrow and going forward until further notice. Now, because I say Ray's had his chance in the majority of his games. He's looking vulnerable, and the more we persist with this, or Arteta does anyway, persist with this Raya in goal, and the more he looks vulnerable, makes more errors. Because teams will know now he's the weak link at the moment, and they will pinpoint that. They will play different games just to pinpoint, putting pressure on him and try and get goals from him alone. What's it got to do for if he isn't dropped now? What's it got to take for Arteta to actually do his job and be a man of his word, as they say? Because he's the one that says it's performance based at why they're playing and all that. Yeah, I've just seen the comment in the chat, so yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's all good. It is what it is. But yeah, just as I say, what would you continue with Raya going forward, or do you now give Ramsdale the opportunity?
So I want to give Russ Morgan a props on this thing, because this is an original thought I'm saying here. He said it in the chat on Saturday. Why was Brentford so willing to get rid of Raya? I mean, he brings up a valid point. We can talk about the FFP issues and all that stuff that potentially Brentford had, but at the end of the day, that's one position you don't get rid of guys at. Goalkeeper is so critical. Look what happened to Leicester. Schmeichel left and they got relegated. I mean, that's so critical of a position to get rid of a guy. I would switch back to Ramsdale. And my argument is with this is I don't think they're both bad I don't think Ray is a bad keeper. I just don't think there's that big distance where you're like, oh crap, we got to play this guy. It doesn't feel no-brainer to me, right? And in defense of Raya, he doesn't have that same experience with the back line and the midfielders that Ramsdale has. But at the same time, I've watched him play, and there were some good moments. He's had good moments, don't get me wrong, but I kind of want Rammer back, man. I'm not going to lie to you. And I would hate to see us lose Ramsdale, over this. And I'm not anti-David Raya at all. I just, it's like Sam said in the comments, there's not much difference. And there's no starking difference. If we talk about competition at positions, I should have seen Ramsdale play a couple of these games recently. And I'm just surprised. I haven't really watched a lot of the Toxic Arsenal because it's not really something I like to do anymore. I don't like that humor of that, but I'm curious what the mindset is, because I saw a lot of people for a long time cussing Ramsdale, saying he was comfortable and that, he needed competition. Well, we've got competition now. Do we have competition at all? I mean, Ramsdale can't even he can't even compete for a position. No. So
it doesn't help though when the goalkeeping coach at Arsenal is best friends with David Raya. There's a conflict of interest there, surely.
Yes, to an extent. I think there is some there, but it definitely what it does, more of a conflict. So I'm thinking a conflict of interest, kind of like in my current position or what I do for work, but it's a little bit different. It's still a conflict of interest, more of like his. It's like going and having your best friend work for you, and then having this other coworker work for you, and then they do it in the military. All right, I'll give you the military example. If you're best buddies with your chief or your boss, you're going to get better evals than the person that's not friends, right? So there's that favoritism, and there's that attributed to hey, well, we're buddies, and I don't want to let my buddy down. I hope it's not like that. Not in a position where there's money. Not in this position. We hope there's not favoritism in where we're at right now. Right, like the best player needs to play. But let's not forget, Arsenal wanted David Raya like 3 years ago. Remember, before when they got promoted, there was that push that Arsenal was linked with David Raya. So I think Arteta has wanted Raya since day one, and had to settle with these other options in theory, right? And you know, I think he's got the guy he wants. And I, as much as I tell you I want Ramsdale back in goal, I just don't know if we're going to see it.
And that brings me back to my fears of comparison-wise. In the early years of the Emirates era, we had Almunia as our goalkeeper as number one, and Wenger, even though Almunia was our number two, and when Lehmann, he'd had enough of Lehmann, basically Almunia became our number one, and then it was clear the drop-off in quality anyway, but it wasn't good enough to be the long-term number one. Arsene kept with him for years and years and years, and it cost us multiple trophies and league titles along the way. And I fear that out of stubbornness, he's going to persist with this. He's going to persist with this Raya thing, no matter what, just because. And it could cost us. I think it will cost us if he persists with this and doesn't give Ramsdale the chance, the opportunity. I mean, the squad number says it all. He should be playing. He is number one. He has the number one jersey for a reason. The guy. This is the thing, as well. I mean, I was watching the Ozzy Gunnar earlier on, and he pulled up. He made a perfect analogy. Actually, David Raya is 28. These are meant to be the prime years of a goalkeeper's career. You're entering your prime now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's making the same errors and mistakes he was doing 3-4 years ago at Brentford, but now he's doing it at a bigger club like Arsenal. Granted, a few games in, but still, it's concerning. Ramsdale has made prior to Raya arriving in the 2 years he was he's been Arsenal's number one. He's made less mistakes in them 2 years than Raya has done in his six games in all comps that he's played, and that in itself should be concerning. That should be a fucking warning sign to Mikel to go. Maybe my goalkeeping coach doesn't know David as well as he thinks he does, and doesn't actually fit our system, because it's just the whole team. I mean, I've heard rumors today from people in a WhatsApp group chat that have friends within the club, and they're saying players are absolutely disgusted with how this has been dealt with from the get-go. They don't agree with how Ramsdale's been dealt with in this whole situation and why he's been dropped. Because like I said already, in terms of him being dropped, he'd done nothing to merit being dropped. Nothing along the lines of what David's doing currently. So if he persists with this, it goes back to what I was saying about it's just like it gives me scary vibes, and I don't like that. I thought we were past all this. And if a goalkeeping coach is so persistent with a goalie that we finally get him, and a few games in, it's not working. He's clearly not up to the standard we need. There's levels to this. Let's be honest. There's levels as well. Arsenal is a big club. Compared to, with all due respect to Brentford and Blackburn, who we briefly play for, Arsenal is a fucking huge club. And maybe Brentford and Blackburn's his level, with all due respect. Maybe the step up is spooking him a bit, and he can't handle the pressure. Whereas when Ramsdale arrived from Sheffield United, it didn't faze him. He stepped up. He's improved. Since he's arrived with us, he has improved. He has saved us so many times as well. Yes, let's not get this twisted. Ramsdale has made mistakes. The odd mistake, once in a blue moon, it's been with him. But it's not a consistent week in, week out, game in, game out thing. It's once in a blue moon. And yet he'll feel now, the longer this goes on, if Arteta does defy everyone and stick to his own guns, or say his guns, he's a coach, Goldie coaches guns, and persist with David, Ramsdale's going to be thinking, well, hang on, what has he actually got to do for me to get a chance then? Has he got to cost us the title? Has he got to cost us any silverware this year for me to have a chance? And like you said about Russ in the chat on Saturday, one of the streams about Brentford weren't exactly breaking their neck to keep him. They literally, because we said that in the chat, I was like, actually got a point, because looking back in the summer, Brentford broke down. They didn't mess about in the summer. They already got their replacement in before up the start of the summer from Freiburg. They got him in, and they're bedding him in straight from the off before pre-season, and they bent over backwards to get him out the door, be it at Tottenham, Bayern Munich, or Arsenal. And in our case, it was Arsenal in the end, to the point where they're happy to extend his contract just to get him out of the door on loan for a few mil, for potentially selling him either to us next summer or to someone else, because now they've covered themselves for the next 2 years. And when the club is not breaking their neck to keep a goalkeeper like David Raya to be their number one, that should be ringing alarm bells. And when Russ mentioned that, that was a good point, and that made me think back to the whole process of the summer with Brentford.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, as I say, that's Brentford. With all due respect to them, Arsenal's a massive step up. He hasn't stepped. I don't think he can cope with it. I think he has a ceiling in terms of capacity-wise, level-wise he can play at, and where Arsenal's too big for him, I think. And people can keep coming at me on social media with fucking these stats of, oh, well, look at this, look at that, oh, long passes. David Villa is better at long passing than that and the other. He's played more games, but still. Passes completed, this, that, and the other, But he's fucking costing us goals. He's cost us it's basically him being off his line as well on Saturday. Him playing that from the back against Man City, and slowly, he doesn't even do it. He's not even fast. When he's got pressure on him, he doesn't even speed up and try to get the ball out anyway. He's too calm, he's too casual, and it's, at least with Ramsdale, with a bit of pressure coming on, he's up, partially out to someone else, or boots up the pitch. So, I personally think Ramsdale's the better goalkeeper of the two in general, and he can actually save the ball. I've seen in the time that Raya's been our number one, he's made one save that I can say it's a decent save. All the others are sort of, you expect him to save. It's not hard, basic sort of thing. And that's what's in all competitions, 7-8 games he's played in all comps. I can only say there's only one decent save I can say that's brilliant, and that was against Tottenham before he fucked up. But I'm really concerned. As I said, like yourself, I want Ramsdale back ASAP. I've had enough. These are the standards that have been risen now. I've also living through the Almunia era as well. I don't want to go back through that fucking phase of a manager having blind faith in someone that cost us title after title, cup after cup, year in, year out. When we've got a young goalkeeper, still youngish goalkeeper, say 25, 26, young, hungry, and potentially England's future number one. And he does a job, and we're so much better. We're so much better with him in goal, because the defense, the connection he has with Saliba, Gabriel, and the rest of his defense and his teammates is so much better, because they know they can rely on him. 9 times out of 10, he ain't gonna fuck up. He's not gonna put them under pressure or throw them under the bus and put pressure on them to not make mistakes. Whereas with Raya, I keep going back to it. I know it's a short-term thing so far in terms of the amount of games he's played, but he's making too many errors, putting too much pressure on the team straight from as I say, X amount of games. And the longer it goes on, the less faith and the relationship will break down even more between the outfield players and Raya. And again, that will cost us, and I don't want that happening. I thought we're past all this BS. But obviously tomorrow might be the first indicator, basically, I think, and then obviously Saturday as well. If Raya starts both them games, then there's nothing. He can do. He could literally murder someone in front of Arteta, basically, and he'll be playing the next game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see what what happens with this. It's going to be a storyline that I think, depending on results, and I'm talking end results of the season, will dictate. I mean, because like you said if there's fractured relationships within the dressing room over this, that becomes the red flag of all red flags, because a coach can lose a locker room. It can happen. It happens in American sports all the time. Quarterback plays bad, pitching, make the bad, pick a sport, make a bad decision, fracture a relationship, take a player that's liked in the locker room and cut them, and that turns into like a nightmare there as well. You know, the Rhea Ramsdale thing. I mean, I just go back to some of the channels I've watched last year, and they just blame Ramsdale for everything that went wrong with Arsenal. And for me, I've got Ramsdale on a shirt, right? I like Ramsdale.
Yeah.
Goalkeeper is a position I like. He's the only goalkeeper I've bought a name with the person on the back, right?
Yeah.
I like Ramsdale. I like David Raya too, but I'm with you on this one, and I really am interested to see what the team sheets look like, because I would wager to think we might see Ramsdale again, not tomorrow, but Saturday against Sheffield United. There is a potential I think we see him again. If not, I mean, this is going to be – I mean, because, again, where we're benefiting from, and I even saw people blame Ramsdale for the Fulham goal, the first Fulham goal. Remember? The one that when Saka kicked it back to him, and
yeah, I saw that. I defended Ramsdale to the hill on that because it wasn't on him.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm using that as an example where I almost kind of want to give Raya a pass on the second one at Chelsea based on the Ben White turnover. Could he have done better? Yeah, I absolutely 100% agree. But like I've said, and you said this, there's just not this mountain of difference. It's kind of like the meme when Jim Halpert from The Office, and he's got two pictures. Or Pam, it says, in corporate wants you to think these two pictures are the same, but they're are different, but they're actually the same. And that's what I see with Ramsdale and Raya, with the benefit more to Ramsdale. We can talk about Raya's a little better playing out the back. But again, I mean, what do you want to go? If you go to Anfield right now, Saliba healthy, Gabriel healthy, Timber healthy, and let's just say Tamiaso at left back. You going to take Raya in goal, or you want Ramsdale in goal? I know who I want.
Ramsdale all day long, as I say. Yeah. I'm all for it. So I just as a fan, I'm not even a fucking teammate. As a fan, Raya puts me on edge. I was at the Man City game a couple of weeks back. I was in North Bank behind the goal in the first half where we were defending it, and everyone behind that goal was on edge for the entire 45 minutes because he's, as I say, he's too passive and slow and casual with the ball, or he almost got into the Elvis situation. He tried to blame Gabriel, but it wasn't on him. He needs to take more responsibility. He doesn't take responsibility either for his mess ups either. And the more it goes on, the more mistakes he makes every game. It puts me on edge, and I don't have faith in him. At least with Ramsdale, as I say, once in a blue moon yet. But you wouldn't. The thing with Ramsdale, the mistakes happened. You wouldn't expect them to happen. You always see Ramsdale on the teams that you think you're comfortable, you're good. You believe it, he'll do a job, and we'll be fine. There's a belief there from our fan, well, most of our fan base anyway, the ones that have a brain.
He's made some world-class games for Arsenal as well, Ramsdale has. I can go – the one I can think of off the top of my head is the Leicester save a couple of years ago on the free kick from, I think, James Maddison.
It was James Maddison free kick, dead ball situation,
Beautiful save. Yeah, I mean, look at Ramsdale. Without Ramsdale, we lose that game at Anfield last year too. I mean, there's
two amazing saves in the dying seconds.
And I'm not going to dog Raya too much on this one, but that Man City game, what saved us in the Man City game was Declan Rice being out there and Jorginho. Yeah. Those two guys held the storm when things got really squirrely there.
And Saliba.
Yeah, him as well. Absolutely, him as well. And so I think, that's, just people were really hard on Ramsdale, and I am fascinated to see how this story ends, Ryan. I really am, because I think it's gonna be one of those ones where if they don't go the way they should, I wonder how hard people are gonna be on Arteta for making this decision. But managers have to live and die by these decisions. He's got to make this decision, live by it, and he's got to be willing to pivot back if it doesn't work. That's where that type A personality people, those alpha males, as I like to call them, they don't really like to admit when they're wrong. It's just, and the sport is full of them, right? So they'll just make a change and not tell why they made the change. Just made a change, and because they don't want to admit, hey, I got it wrong, and that's okay. That's all. But behind closed doors, I mean, the coaching staff knows. So we'll see. Like I said, we'll see tomorrow. I expect Raya to be on the team sheet tomorrow. I also expect us to bring our strongest starting 11 tomorrow. We have to.
Yeah.
No question about it. Sheffield United can be the rotation game if you want, but that must be the strongest 11 tomorrow. So.
And what you expect Ramsdale from Saturday onwards, do you? Like as dominant one.
I expect Ramsdale to come back in the team. I don't think it's going to happen, man. But But you brought this up. He was made sure he was seen on a social media team. How much? Let me say this: how much influence does Arteta have on what information they see? Because if you said "I'm here, don't worry," do you think if Arteta had no intention of playing Ramsdale again, do you think he would allow that message to be put out on social media platforms? I mean, unless he has no impact on anything that goes out from the club, but they trust. I mean, Arteta is trusted by the Cronkies. I mean, they love him, right?
Yeah, this is the guy they wanted after Wenger left in the first place. Yeah,
right. So I think it'd be interesting to see that maybe there is a potential for Ramsdale to come in, but why would you allow that message to be put out there, right? That's just, that's the cloak and stuff I'm thinking about. But props to Ramsdale for being a professional. And remember the media guy that slagged him off for clapping?
Jamie Carragher in the UK, yeah.
Carragher, that was just so irritating. What their teammates? What do you expect him to do? Sit there and pout and play a Mesut Ozil? No, he's a professional.
Get the umbrella out.
Yeah, come on. And that canary yellow kit.
Yeah, bloody hell. What was it? I remember that.
Right?
Yeah.
That was the day that Guendouzi decided to put his hands on someone's throat. And gone.
Days.
Yeah.
Back in the days when we had like bloody Ainsley, Maitland Niles, and Eddie up top and all that, because Lacazette and Aubameyang were getting rotated because it's a back end that was coming back from the first lot here in the UK, the first lockdown and all that.
Yeah, don't forget Neil Magpie walked us off in the 96th minute too.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah, it was a depressing day. Sorry to bring it up. Pepe had a beautiful goal in that game too, by the way. Beautiful left foot.
Look how he's been treated by the club since. There was a player there who's just Arteta didn't like him by the looks of it. Just not my sort, not my player and all that. But yeah, that put me down a bit.
I did. I brought it down. I'm so sorry.
Got a laugh if I find a minute. Sam saying in the chat as well, it would be typical after struggling versus Chelsea for the majority of the game. We go to Sevilla, make paella out of them tomorrow. Obviously, it would be typical. It would be so typical. But you know what? As long as we win, I'll take it. I don't care. Yeah. I'm shameless on that side of things. We win. Get in, get out. Russ Morgan says, "Good evening. Good evening." Speaking of the devil, we mentioned you a few times tonight, Russ. So in a good way, don't worry.
Yeah, I gave you credit for your comment earlier about Brentford potentially getting rid of Raya earlier. So I always give credit where I hear ideas, and I gave you credit, Russ.
But so yeah, look, obviously we'll get off the topic. We'll get off this topic now because obviously we're going to, as I say, we'll find out in the next 24 hours and on Saturday as well the whole where Arteta's land lies basically on this whole situation going forward. But going back into the game, obviously 2-0 down, and then Rice and obviously Sanchez, their goalkeeper, makes a mistake, passes it straight to Declan, and Declan doesn't even take the touch. First time hit, curls it, and obviously it goes in 2-1. Do you think from there on? Do you think from that moment we're gonna have the end? We're gonna go on and get something out of this game? Then
yeah, I absolutely did, because to me that was the big FU moment. That was like, we're gonna come back, and it was Declan making a statement and getting everybody motivated. And then I think that's when the subs came on, right? Havertz, and I want to say Smith Rowe came on. Am I wrong with that? Smith Rowe came on earlier, but Havertz and Trossard came together.
Yeah, I'm trying to think now. It was obviously Tomiyasu first, then Smith Rowe and who came on? Eddie, that was it, Eddie. Yep. And then obviously, Kai and Trossard came on just as the goal went in for 2-1.
How good has Kai Havertz looked in relief mode? The last two Premier League games we've seen him play very well, I think.
I think he's, because he's been put in a position, he's been played in a position now that's more suited to him. In terms of this Arsenal under Arteta's system, I think he's better suited playing up top, and he's starting to thrive off that. And we're seeing a bit more from him, where playing Kai in the midfield pivot initially alongside Declan, it was taken away from him, his game, but also it was taken away from us and our in the general team's play as well. But I think putting him up top, the whole team thrives and he thrives, and it's just a whole better cohesion as a whole. And I think that's the way forward with Kai within the Arteta or Arsenal system in general.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm happy for him. I'm not one of these that had that start of the season because it came from Chelsea. Yeah, I had concerns, but I wanted to see what the plan was before saying anything or whatever. Whereas others straight from the off, no, I've got an agenda. I'm not going to back down. He could win us the Champions League or the league title. I'll always slag him off. I'm like, no, I'm not all for that. I'm for fair game and all that. He needed time to settle in. Coming from, I said, with Chelsea, it's different because Chelsea played a different way to Arsenal.
Yeah.
No matter what position you play him at Chelsea, he's always going to struggle because they don't play to his strengths. Where coming to a club like Arsenal, he's always going to play to us. We're always going to play to his strengths more than he was at Chelsea. It's just taking a bit of time to settle in, and I think that giving him that penalty against Bournemouth a few weeks ago has slowly given him that confidence, and he's starting to gradually get game by game better performances, even if it is coming on as an impact sub, like we saw against City and like we saw against Chelsea. And I'm happy for him, and good. And hopefully it continues. I think we might see him start tomorrow night, personally, because it's, again, I think European games as well, and his experience.
Yeah, it fits his style more to play in Europe, I think. And that's the thing too with Havertz. And let's go back to, and I mean, it's kind of a dead topic, but all our fans that were like abusing him online and just like, you represent Arsenal, and do players have thick skin? Yeah. I mean, did Xhaka deserve some of the hate he got? I mean, it depends on what line you cross, right? You start bringing kids and family in it, you shouldn't be representing our club. But I mean, you could say someone's paying bad, but he hadn't even kicked the ball for us. And the one phrase that I hate the most that I heard a lot recently, and this is over the last 3 years, oh, we're just more Chelsea rejects. And it's just like, yeah, we have brought in some Chelsea duds, but I mean, that's if he had came, and it was a price tag with Havertz too, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest gripe. But he's going to play a critical role for us, and whether it's at the striker, playing at the 8, hell, doing like he did on Saturday with Rice. I mean, he just looks more confident. I think in the last 3 games, I've seen just more of and again, I'm a Havertz defender. So unfairly, I watch him a little bit more than I do other players, just because, I want to see him succeed, just out of a pure Arsenal fan, and to be right. There's that aspect too. But I mean, he's critical. It's good to see Smith Rowe get minutes, to pivot to him. The rumors I heard about people saying, oh, he's going to get sold in January. I don't think Smith Rowe ends up getting sold at all. I think
No.
he's still. I think he's got. Now. If someone brings you a stupid offer like 60, 70 million, do you think about it? Sure. But I mean, he's a guy that, let's go back 2 years ago, had 7 or 8 goals and came out on the scene. They gave him the number 10 shirt, and then he got injured, right?
Surgery, he had to have surgery because he was carrying an injury. Yeah.
And he injured it again. So we lost his position. So this is a guy who I love seeing him out there on Saturday. And it excites me. I'm a big Smith Rowe fan. And to see him play well, to see Havertz play well, even we've got Vieira. We've got options. Remember, look at Vieira. He showed up last year, and some of these guys, he's too small. He can't do this, can't do that. And then all of a sudden now they're crying for him. So we're just an impatient fan base in general. We expect results immediately. And I think I heard James B say this earlier. And he brought up a really good point because some people were talking about how upset they were about this draw with Chelsea. And he said, I got news for you. Nobody's ever won 35 games in the Premier League. He said, we're going to have other disappointing weekends. If you can take a 2-2 draw at Chelsea, especially given the position you were in, you take it all day of the week.
Yeah.
So I know some people probably look at it, and it's easy to look at the beginning of the game, Ryan, and be like, man, we should take 3 points easy. And I said it, both teams on the paper played their best game. Arsenal should easily win, but we didn't play our best game. We were 70-some minutes of lost, confused, trying to play for that perfect shot when the reality is just take a shot. Robertson Sanchez showed you pretty much like, hey, he can't handle the ball. He looked like a Nana out there. So, we've got this is a long season, man, and we're going to need all 25 of these players that are on the Premier League roster to get us through the season. And it's going to be fun, man.
Thank God we ain't got a Wobie anymore. That's all I'm saying. After what I've just seen.
Yeah.
Literally, I know I'm behind you, and there's footage because I'm watching it myself on my other monitor screen. Yeah, his first touch was woeful there. He's just come on as well.
Oh my God, I forgot he's at Fulham now. Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, they brought him in on deadline day from Everton.
Yeah.
Come back to London nowadays, yeah.
What about $40 million we stole from Everton on that one, man?
Oh, bargain. What a bargain.
Oh, man.
For an academy player as well, 40 million profit.
Beautiful.
But yeah, going back to Smith Rowe, I'm so happy. I'm happy he's getting more minutes now. After the first international, he started getting more minutes, and he's just getting. People need. I know it's even for us, it's frustrating to see he wasn't getting the minutes initially in the first few games of the season. But I think it's more of a managing him because of the surgery he had last year and not wanting to aggravate anything or risk it coming back on it or any sort of reluctance coming back. But Arteta seems to want to ease him in and build him back up slowly but surely. And he's getting more minutes as time goes on. But I would like to see him start soon. Maybe on Saturday against Sheffield United. I mean, again, Sheffield United at home, perfect game for someone like him to get a start in and see how he goes from that. But yeah, I mean, the more straight from the off, as soon as he came on against Bournemouth a few weeks back, that you could see the sparks were there. Like the bit more match fitness, the chances he had in that game, he would have finished basically. So it's coming. He's coming back slowly but surely, but it's just going to take a bit of time. And going back to the movement, the rumours about him moving in January or potentially moving, he's a fighter. I mean, the lad, literally after the season he had last year in terms of the surgery, getting next to 9 minutes in the back end of last season and all that, he went off for the under 21s at England international level, played pretty much every other day in that tournament. Was one of the standout players as well. I think England's top goal scorer for that as well. And after all that and winning it and all that, instead of going for a 2-week holiday like he was entitled to, and Arteta said he could take, he told Mikel, no, it's fine. I'll go off now. Obviously, it's on. This will be like a weekend. He said, obviously, you're going to go off tomorrow. I'll meet you up. I'll meet up with you. I'll travel with Thomas Partey. I will meet up with you on Thursday. And I want to fight. And I'll show you my fighting. I want to fight for you, and show you that I'm not going to rest on my laurels. I want to fight and get my place back in this team. So at the end of the day, he's a fighter, And now you want that in your team. You want players that fight and not just resting on their laurels, no matter what past reputations or whatever. And as I say, I don't think he'll go anyway. Personally, I don't think there's no reason for him to go. As I say, he's a fight. He's starting to get more minutes, and I think he'll get a lot more. He'll get a lot more minutes between now and January. Hopefully, he'll start hitting his form again, and we'll go from there. Obviously, but then, as I say, going back to the game, we have an hour and 10 minutes now. We covered it, finished covering his game, but obviously 2-1. We both agree that from now on in, we thought that Chelsea would fold and we'd come back and we'd get something from this game, be it a win or a draw. And that Chelsea did. They just, the second that win in, the Declan goal went in, they just folded like a pack of cards. And then Trossard, about a few minutes later, Saka, because they had Cucurella and all their players are dropped, Saka then starts playing his game, gets the ball, cuts inside, crosses the ball in, Trossard there, far post, bang, 2-2. And that's what plus we consider injury time, 10 minutes? 10 or more minutes left of the game. So it still left us enough time to win the game, basically. And we could have done it. Reddy actually had his shooting boots on that day, just wide of the post. But it shows, if anything, it did show that we don't give up. This team doesn't give up now at 2-0. They do plug away. The opportunity comes, they'll take it. And they'll fight back to the bitter end. Thank God Richarlison is shit. Yeah, I've just seen what he's just done.
So here's what I'll say with this too. Like, great teams find a way to get something out of nothing days, right?
Yeah.
And that's the big takeaway here. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to sit here and say, because I'm sure we'll pivot to this in a little bit. Well, Odegaard had a bad game. Why does Odegaard not show up, right? But the reality is, like, your goal is going to come for different people on different days.
Yeah.
And you got to take what the other team gives you. And this is one of these games where, I'm drawing a blank here on this, but the subs worked, and it just breathed this new life into the team, and it broke this stalemate that I thought we were looking stagnant, right? And
yeah.
And it's such credit to, I mean, you can say, because I think, Chelsea laid there with a full deck of cards. I was 100% convinced once that second goal got in, I was like, this is going to happen. But, the thing with Saka, what a ball that was, what a cross, what a play by Trossard. And think about this too, because I think I was talking to someone about Trossard. It was my buddy Sean. Oh, you think Trossard should start some games? And I said, man, I think his best play is when he's a sub.
Super sub, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I'm not saying he shouldn't start, but my God, like, sometimes he comes out there and it's just like this, 60th minute, you bring him on, you get 30 minutes out of him, and just think about what you got. You got Martinelli attacking you on the left, and you bring Trossard on right after you. There's no break for that poor back or the center back over there. Madison just scored.
Oh, for God's sake!
I know.
Hold on, we had one job today. For God's sake! Oh dear! Come on, Palace on Friday. Come on, Palace.
We just take care of our business, right? And that's what it comes
we just do our thing. We've got Sheffield United anyway on Saturday. We're fine. We'll still be unbeaten this weekend.
We should take care of that game. But that's, I might be offside here. Oh, he's off. Never mind. That's going to be offside.
Oh, he's offside, is he?
Yeah.
I'm not even looking now.
Yeah. Well, Son was offside in the buildup of it, I think. But the Fulham player was out of. Well, they might not be offside because the Fulham player was out of bounds.
Let's have a look. One sec. Listening to this back won't have a clue what's going on. Oh no, I say he's off.
But
if the far player's out of bounds, if he's actually out of bounds, he's not in play.
That'd be
out of play then. Surely, yeah. It's just they've got to put the lines in and make sure he's out of bounds. Though that's the problem.
I think they're going to count it. Counted. It's unfortunate.
Oh well, it's just Fulham being Fulham anyway. They couldn't do it against fucking Chelsea every week. What was I hoping for tonight? Let's be honest.
So this is what I was going to bring up. I brought up in the Gonna Gathering chat earlier. This is what I would have done. So I know we were out of subs at the time, so this is why this is pointless at this time. So I sound even dumb bringing it up. But I've almost would have thought about bringing Partey on for Ben White, and then running a back three with Partey and Rice in the middle, and having to go for it. But we were out of subs at that time, so I sound dumb even bringing it up.
No, but it would have made sense thinking about it logically. Let's go for the 2-2, go for the juggernaut. Like really put it on them.
You would have solidified that midfield, because the reality is, if you worry about the speed on the wings, if you remember, Chelsea took both their wingers off and kind of went more conservative towards the end of the game. But you'll take 2-2. I think I said this to you. If you can draw on your road games in top 6 minus the one team, and win at home against the top 6, and take care of business from 7th place on, that's 99 points right there.
Yeah, that's true.
So, it's a long season, and I know some people are worried about this team that's in the North that's in first place right now, but we were in first place for 92% of the season last year. So
yeah, that's true.
Sorry.
Plus they're playing crap teams. The majority of the games they're playing the crap teams.
Well, I mean, remember the year when United finished second? I think it was like 2 years ago. They were horrible against the top 6, but took care of everybody from 7th place on. And you can do that. That's 84 points right there if you beat everybody from 7th place on. So, and Ange is a good coach too. So I think this is more of Ange than it is actually this is a good team. He's actually a really good manager.
Defensively, there's still frailties. It's been spotted. I spotted it on match day 1 against Brentford and against us. Yeah. Defensively, there's still frailties there. I mean, the first half against United, going off topic for the listeners, do apologise, but going off topic here. But even against United, when they went down on 2-0 or whatever it was, that first half, United had chances, but they just didn't take them. Yep. So defensively, there's frailties there. They're just playing shit teams that don't have to expose them, basically. But because they're beating the teams they should be beating now, it's like, oh, they're amazing. No, they're not. I mean, I think they've got Palace on Friday, and then they've got Chelsea the following Monday, but 9 days later. Oh, that's going to be an interesting one. That derby, the Poch derby now. Ideally, we need the blue side to win that one. Stop believing they can go unbeaten. In the meantime, just win our games in the meantime. But anyway, so looking forward to tomorrow night now. Sevilla away.
Yep. What time is kickoff for that again, Brian?
I believe I'm gonna double check because it is away. I double check. I believe it's 8 o'clock, but I'm gonna double check now just to make sure because we are away from home, so it might be earlier. Just double checking.
Because the Europa League does the
early stuff and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
8 p.m. kickoff. We're 8 o'clock kickoff. Just getting the fixtures up now for the whole night. 1 second. The Sky bastards. So you've got Galatasaray, Bayern Munich, and Inter Milan versus Red Bull Salzburg at 5:45 UK time. Then every other game playing tomorrow night is 8 o'clock. That's about Union Berlin, Napoli, Benfica versus Sociedad, Lens versus PSV, Man United versus Copenhagen, us versus Sevilla, and Sporting Braga versus Real Madrid. Going back obviously tomorrow night's game. How strong do you want? How strong would you go? Who would you actually start?
Oh, so for me, and again, it's not going to happen, but I'm going to go with Raya because I know that's what he's going to do. I'm going Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Tomiyasu, Odegaard, Rice, and Partey. And then I would probably I'm going to go Saka, Jesus, and Martinelli. And my subs that would come on would be Havertz, Smith Rowe, potentially Jorginho, and then I would still, depending on where the game's at, see what happens with Zinchenko. But that would be the lineup I would go with. I mean, I'm a Havertz supporter, but I just think right now his role is a sub as well, just like Trossard.
Yeah.
Have them come on. I mean, you could probably start Trossard over Martinelli, and that might be what happens.
Mm.
But I want the strongest 11. I mean, this is something I think I said last week to Lee of Gunnar Gathering, and we because we talked about rotating, and the reality is this is the big thing we've been chasing for years. You don't rotate in the Champions League. You rotate against Sheffield United.
Yeah.
You rotate against Burnley. You find if you're going to be a Champions League team, you should be able to rotate and beat Sheffield United, beat Burnley, beat the bottom half of the table, right?
Yeah.
And find a way to manage your big games against Chelsea and Man City. So I want the strongest 11 possible. Go send a message. Go get your 3 points. I've seen a lot of people pick draws in this game. I think we find a way to win.
Well, thanks to Vaya, last time we can't afford a draw. Personally,
I'm not super confident, right? Because our European form hasn't been the greatest under Arteta, but I mean, where's Sevilla in there? Because that doesn't even matter, too, right? Because Lens was 15th in the French league and still beat us. So,
well, they just set their manager. They set the manager just before the international break. Hired a new guy. I don't know who it is, and they drew 1-1, and their new manager bounced on Sunday at home to Real Madrid side.
Which 1-1 is a good result.
I don't know if that means anything, but yeah. But their thing is, because obviously this is the last season of the current format of the Champions League, where it's group stages and the third team goes into the Europa League and all that malarkey. So they love their thing of winning the Europa League, going playing Champions League group stage, come back down and winning it again and doing all that BS. But it's going to be hostile. I think that obviously it's going to be. I've said it from the get go. This game in particular away from home is going to be a hostile atmosphere. We've got the players need to turn up and do a job. This is what for the game. Any ball was kicked for us in this competition. And I think I stand by that. And that's just, I think we need to go full strength. Personally, I expect Vaya to be starting, but I'd rather have Ramsdale in goal. I don't know, backline Ben White, Gabriel, Saliba, Tomiyasu, and then midfield Rice and Partey, because Partey's had plenty of time off. He can now start tomorrow. Rice and Partey, Odegaard just in front. Let Partey do all the dirty work. Rice push forward and link up with Martin, and then the forward line I would go for would be Martinelli, Bukayo, and Jesus up top, and as I say, bring Havertz on later on in the game to go up top. Mm-hmm. But as I say, I like swap sort of thing, maybe depending on how the game's going. But yeah, I think he's more of as it's staying. Him and Trossard are more at this moment in time impact subs, and I think that's best suited at the moment, going by how we're playing and how it's all playing at the moment. But that's what I would do personally. But I know obviously we deep down I know Vay's gonna fucking start and gonna piss me off probably at some point during the game, and I might pull my hair about what's left of it. I'm trying to think now. What's your score prediction then? With your lineup and all, do you see us losing or getting something out of this? Because like you say, our European record with Arteta is not the best.
I haven't had a chance to do the research on this, so when I say this, I don't think we do bad. We haven't had a stretch of draws back to back outside of last year when we had that stretch where things kind of fell apart. I think we're going to win this one 2-1. I'm not uber confident, but I'm also a blind-hearted Arsenal fan, so I don't pick us to win every game. Like if we go to Anfield, I don't expect that win, right? But for some reason, I think we're going to find a way to win tomorrow. I do want to ask you about BX said he wouldn't start Saka.
I've seen it, yeah.
And I wonder if the reasoning is based on Ramos kicking him constantly, because that's going to happen.
Oh, it's really going to happen, but I think, as you say, we need to go full strength. And I think with Saturday, with Sheffield United, because we've got Sheffield United on Saturday, that would be. I understand the Ramos situation, the fear there, but
you could go. But Ryan,
I would invest him on Saturday.
But Ryan, you could do Martinelli Nketiah, Jesus, and then bring Saka on. You could do that.
Could do, yeah. But it's
but
we know what Arteta is about as well.
Yeah, I think 2-1 is the logical scoreline. I mean, we did play him in the Emirates Cup a couple of years ago, right? And beat him 6-0. But that was 2 years
this
ago.
was just gone last time we beat him 6-0.
Yeah. My cousins live in Pennsylvania. He took his son. They were over there doing travel. They played travel ball in Pennsylvania. They went over to the UK and played a few UK teams, and that was the game they went to. So yeah, he had a good time there. I mean, it's gonna be interesting, man. This is the Champions League. This is the big games we wanted.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. Give me 1 second. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. Someone wants to go out and do some business, so
I'm back. Sorry about that.
No worries.
But yeah, these are the games we wanted. So I expect Arsenal to find a way to win tomorrow. But again, the Champions League, you cannot make mistakes. So again, I go back to the Raya thing that you discussed, and I'm gonna support Raya because he's an Arsenal player. But I know we've discussed about this, and I don't think you dislike Raya, Ryan. I just think you kind of looking at from a objective perspective and an analytical, like Ramsdale's still the better option between the two, right?
Yeah.
And it's just really hard to see what's happened to Ramsdale, and I feel for him. I really do. I know it's a grown man world, and they're making money left and right. These footballers are, but it just feels like you were kind of sacked from a job without really truly doing anything wrong. And how do you – and this is the sports psychology portion of this, right, where you go out there and you're like, you have to keep mentally playing. But go back to that Carabao Cup, man, against Brentford. Ramsdale looked really good in that game, right? And he looked hungry. He looked motivated. Hopefully Arteta sees it. Like I said, I don't think we're going to see him tomorrow, but hopefully we can see him back in the lineup at Sheffield United and get himself a clean sheet. But you never know. We could get shocked tomorrow. We could see Ramsdale on the team sheet. We really could.
I'll celebrate.
Would that be? I mean, it sounds insane to say out loud, Ryan, but it is a high probability.
Yeah.
I go back to that social media video. Why would you allow him out to say that, right? Because that almost sounds like a miscontent, like, hey, I'm back, don't worry. Right?
I've got your back, guys, sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, Edu probably has to talk to Arteta about it too, I'd imagine, as a sporting director, right? I know, he probably doesn't get involved in the team sheet selection, but there probably is discussion, because I think I heard somewhere that this option to buy also has certain wickets where it becomes an obligation to buy.
Oh, God.
But I don't know if it's true. I mean, that's what I heard.
I have no idea what would surprise me, though. But, yeah. This is the thing as well, going back to that, because I forgot to mention it earlier. But obviously, during the international break, both goalkeepers did interviews respectively for whatever media outlets. Obviously, Raya in Spain, Ramsdale in the UK. And it was brought, obviously, the Ramsdale interview was brought up to Arteta on Friday. And basically, his response was, he needs to up his game, basically. And I'm like, well, what can he do? How can he prove himself in an in-game game? You're not giving him the game to prove himself and fight. Yeah, but it was okay for Raya to come out and be all. And for me, it came across with Raya, I'm all right, Jack. I'm good. I'm number one. What are you going to do, sort of thing. It was cocksure of himself and arrogant, and the arrogance. And for someone that's making too many errors, if he wasn't making the errors and he was doing these interviews, like, fair enough, whatever. But when you're being incident prone and making constant mistakes currently, keep your mouth shut, sort of thing for me. But my thing is, you're taking a dig basically at Ramsdale for doing his interview, but you're okay with someone behaving in a way you don't like just because it's like, I referred to this over the weekend. It's like people go on about Arteta being ruthless, right? It's seemingly getting more and more obvious that he picks and chooses who he's ruthless with, and that in itself, it's not going to help the whole squad cohesiveness that he's built going forward. especially when I'm hearing, as I said to you earlier, especially when I hear that via a friend that I know, friends that he knows that work within the club, that players are like first team players are not impressed with Raya. They're not happy with how this whole situation has been handled by Arteta and how Ramsdale's been basically outed the way he has been. And the longer this goes on, and the more these incidences happen with Raya, no matter who we play, it's going to cause that divide even more. And everything that Arteta has built over the last few years will suddenly just fall apart. And then, is he willing to die on that sword, though? That's going forward. That would be the big question.
And that's the thing too. I really thought what was going to happen here was Arteta would pick one goalkeeper and then get criticized for not picking the other goalkeeper, and then pick the other, and it would keep this like yin yang, right? I had no idea it was going to be like, well, because he said it was going to be a competition, and I guess for him, competing is within what's the word I'm looking for? Within practice, right? They always say like practice hard, and you'll be rewarded for your talents or your effort. It's going to be interesting. I mean, it could be. I wanted to bring this up, to kind of the last time we played Sevilla in a game that mattered was in the Champions League in 2007, in the group stages. Arsenal 3, Sevilla 1. You had Fabregas scored, Van Persie and Da Silva, and then Sevilla won 3-1.
Our gaff.
Yeah.
No, their gaff, sorry. Yeah. Canute.
Yep. So yeah, that was the last time we had a meaningful game with them. Well, outside of
Europa, like the Emirates Cup and all that.
Did we have a Europa League game with them?
I don't think so.
No,
it's just been like Emirates Cup every other summer sort of thing.
We've had club friendlies with them.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's going to be an interesting game tomorrow. I'm a little bit excited for it. Just enjoy these moments. This is the thing too, like, and this is something I want to pivot to, Ryan, if you don't mind. Like, enjoy these games, man, and enjoy the wins, because like we remember being in 8th place, right? So we're not, like I said, we haven't won the league yet or anything like that, but we're not in 8th place right now, trying to figure out. We don't have Socrates and
Mustafi.
Yeah, like we've got Saliba and Gabriel, players that, Saliba's 100% world class, just like Liam said last week or 2 weeks ago, last time we got together. And just enjoy it, man. Enjoy it. I know we want the trophy, but enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect way to end it. But I'll give my score predictions before we wrap things out. I'll give my score predictions from I'm going to go for. He's in Spain, isn't it? So yeah, I think I'll go with you 2-1. If it was at home, I'd say 2-0, but I think 2-1, just because it's that their gaff. They probably will score with the Ramos effect and the new manager. Don't know who it is, but and the atmosphere again. I've witnessed Sevilla over the years, not just obviously referring back to the group stage when we last played them all them years ago, but I'm trying to think now, the years when they've played other English clubs over the last few years, since we've been out of it, that place is not a nice place to go to, and players need to step up tomorrow. They can't afford to have even a 5-minute spell of what they did on Saturday against this team, in terms of because of the atmosphere and how Walker's is going to be. But I do think if we do, as long as we turn up, we'll have enough to get ourselves over the line and get the 3 points, as long as certain people don't, naming no names, make any mistakes that lead to goals or put the team under pressure or anything like that, then we should be okay. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Hopefully not tomorrow.
How much of a must-win is this game in your mind, Ryan?
I think the fact, for me, because we lost to Lens, if we'd drawn to Lens and had 4 points out of 6, it wouldn't be as bad. But the fact that we did lose, and now it's like Sevilla back to back, we have to win both games for me to keep qualification in our hands, and not relying on other results basically in the last 2 games. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Because I mean, even if you draw this game, that puts you at 4 points in the group with a possible 9 points left, right? And that's with a road trip to PSV involved, a home game against Lens and Sevilla. So you would be lucky to get 13 points, right? I mean, if you don't, then that's maximum of 12. And then the problem also, if you don't win tomorrow, Ryan, is you put yourself potentially, if you do qualify, into that second tier where you start playing group winners. And
the Real Madrids or the PSGs, the Barcelonas of this world.
Yeah, I'm confident Arteta's going to have the guys up and motivated. If they're not motivated for tomorrow, then it's kind of like, what more do you need to be motivated? It's Champions League game. Most of these guys, I mean, think about it like this too. It's kind of like the international break games, right? Where they get the caps for the country. These guys say they're not going to play for Arsenal forever. They can put on their CV that they played in a Champions League game, and they can use it as a negotiating chip to get their next contract. So you got to show up. You got to play hard. Yeah, I mean, not to sound like a manager pep talk here, but man, play for the badge. Do what you got to do. Be proud. I'm sure the away support will be pretty good. Is Liam going to the game, or do you know anybody that's going down there for it?
Oh no, he'll be here in the country for that game. So the plan was for him to be on tomorrow for the watch along, but he's currently waiting for blood results in the hospital at the moment. He's not feeling too well, so it's 50-50 if he'll be on tomorrow. But that was the plan, because obviously it is away, but he will be at the home game in a fortnight's time.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know. I think Yellow Guns and Ribbons. They're there. Fergus.
Yeah, Fergus and all that. Yeah.
They're there
every game there.
And yeah, I mean, it's gonna be. I got to be in the office tomorrow, so hopefully I can make it home in time to watch it. I'm sure I will be able to watch it. It's just whether I'll be watching it, at home or
on the way home, or on the way home from work.
Yeah, I mean, my office isn't too far from my house, so it's not too far. Like, I could get home in time. Of course, when I get home, I gotta let the dogs out and all that, all the wickets, before the wife says, "Hey, why have you done anything?" So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. But yeah, we shall see, man. Hopefully 3 points with Arsenal.
Yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed. I mean, I think the signs in the chat for us should wrap up, because it's now been mentioned twice that Chinese takeaway's been mentioned. So
I saw that. Yeah. Yeah, you're the second podcast I've done today. I've got one more tonight with Mr. Tom and Tony on Gary's channel.
Yeah, so, on Gary's channel. That's for anyone that's interested. That's at 12:30 midnight UK time. Everyone, as I say, on Gary's channel, so go and do check that out. And again, thanks for coming on, Spencer. Appreciate it, especially at the last minute as it was and all that. I do appreciate the coming on, and obviously, keep the conversation going and all that, and good back and forth.
I love any chance we can to talk about the Arsenal, man. Anytime, man. Like I said, it's I told Lee earlier on the Gooner Gathering that I appreciate you guys allowing this Yank to come on and discuss a little bit of football with you guys, and it's a blast, man. I enjoy doing it. Like, it doesn't feel like a chore. It's just fun.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the main thing. That's why most of us do it anyway. Getting into all the politics, but yeah.
But remember when I reached out to you I'd say about 4 or 5 months ago, like I was trying to find someone to really kind of do not just content, but just to talk Arsenal in a more constructive manner, be critical when it's needed, and not just toxic to be toxic. And I've been around the toxic and kind of avoided the toxic at this point, and I think I've got a good crew of people I do stuff with, and I appreciate you for having me on and everything. And it was a pleasure meeting Liam last point. And but yeah, man, it's been fun. So
yeah, it's been a pleasure having you on the last couple. And hopefully, as I say, the collaboration will continue. Do you want to plug your channel, by the way? Have you got anything come up on your channel?
Yeah, so my channel is Bronco and VA 9986. I do Arsenal content, college football. So I do American sports as well. I talk college football, NFL, I haven't done anything a lot recently because I'm kind of busy with work and I'm helping other people out with their channels. And I post random videos too. If like me and the wife went away to the winery on Friday, and I posted pictures of the winery. So just stuff to kind of just it's a jack of all trades channel, just having fun. Arsenal 9986 is the Twitter account. And if you ever want to talk soccer or football or American football, just hit me up and I will absolutely have a conversation with you at any time. So,
yep. Okay, cool. And apart from that, guys, as I say, I will be back tomorrow. The audio for this will be out in about half hour's time once it downloads and all that jazz and gets it up on Spotify and all the other audio platforms. So do keep an eye out for that. If you've missed anything, you want to listen to it back on the go, want to move about and all that, that's the perfect way to do it nowadays on Spotify or Apple Podcast or Google Podcast or any other podcast platform you do have. It'll be up there basically. So do keep an eye out for that. And the next half hour, that'll be up and running. Apart from that, as I say, I'll be back tomorrow, 7:30 because it's 8 o'clock kickoff. So 7:30 UK time for the build-up for the Sevilla versus Arsenal side, because we are away from home. Sevilla versus Arsenal Champions League match day 3 watch along. Hopefully, as I say, Liam is recovered from whatever he's currently feeling at the moment. He's fully recovered. He comes on even for a cameo or whatever. Just if he is available, we can come on. If not, we'll find other people. It's fine. There's no problem there. But we'll be doing that, and then on Wednesday, nothing planned. But then on Thursday, you got Angie's show where it's going to be and her panel. Hopefully, maybe a special guest. I might even, if I'm around, if she wants me on, I'll come on for that as well. Where we're going to be talking, it's going to be the main focus on her shows on the Thursday are the women's team and mainly the women's team, and touching on the academy side of things as well, keeping everyone updated on all things with the academy as well. Especially with the international, obviously going into another international break with women this time round. I've got a lot to talk about. I've just literally whilst being live sent the itinerary for just to discuss the discussion points on Thursday, and there's a lot to talk about by the looks of it. So it's going to be a good show. Hopefully, you guys will come out and check that out and spread the word on that. And then Friday, nothing. And then Saturday is Sheffield United, Arsenal versus Sheffield United watch along, then match of the day. And then Sunday, probably as I said yesterday, probably do the podcast match reaction on the Sunday because there's no women's football this weekend in terms of club wise. So yeah, if that's advisable, we'll be doing that on a Sunday instead of on a Monday because we've got the time frame to do it in. So yeah, another busy week ahead. But again, thanks to obviously, as I say, Spencer and everyone in the chat, even the people from I think it's Ashley and Holly, from a few others that come over, watch it from your channel as well, and all the usual suspects over on my channel that are coming and finally cause anarchy at some point.
Holly, so that's the missus.
Okay, cool. I thought I recognised the surname, so I didn't want to assume, just in case. But yeah, apart from that, big massive thanks to everyone that's popped in and contributing to the chat and all that. And if you haven't already, do subscribe to both our channels, as we're both currently live on. Do subscribe, do smash the like button, and spread the word. Aside from that, guys, I'll see you tomorrow, 7:30, as I said. As always, though, enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And as always, up the Arsenal. Come on, you Gunners.